Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really good. So good to hear your voice, Lisa.
Well, it's good to hear your voice too. And my compadre, my co-host, is Holly. You've never met.
Hi, Michael. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Polly. So good to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, she has met Franny, the new wonder dog.
She is adorable.
I'm so glad you met her. What do you think of her?
Oh, a darling. She was our pod dog when we would do our podcasts, and she was great. I could see how much you would adore that little dog, big dog, big dog.
Exactly. She's sweet.
Anyway, so welcome to Ladies Who Question, Michael Cohen. Cohen, right?
I am so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
I never have actually said your last name out loud because I just knew you as Michael.
You probably just know me as Franny's dog dad.
Actually,
Yep.
that's the truth. It's true. Yeah, I forget his name, but his dog daughter's name is Franny. That's pretty much how I would introduce you. Anyway, welcome to Ladies Who Question, and welcome everybody to another edition of Let's Talk Local. Lisa, Holly, and Michael Cohen, we're all here. Michael, we are excited to have you here because, let me just frame this out.
Okay.
The timing is very good because let's think about what's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of tension sometimes surrounding the holidays, right?
Yep. Family stress.
Yeah. And then after the holidays are over in January, what happens, Michael?
Well, it's one of the busier seasons for people filing divorce, unfortunately. So, and it's not because of the holidays. I think a lot of parents want to wait to get through the holidays so their kids have a good holiday, and then they're committed to just start the process after the holidays.
Oh, wow. I hadn't
Okay.
even thought about it like that. They're waiting. They were already thinking about, we're going to do it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, you are a divorce mediator, and let's just lay the groundwork here. What is divorce mediation?
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what it is. It's, most people think you hire a lawyer, your spouse hires a lawyer, and you go to war. Divorce mediation is something where you work with one unbiased facilitator who helps you come up with your parenting plan, your financial divisions, and your financial plan. And then it gets reviewed by a lawyer, it gets approved by a judge, and it's done much less costly, much more amicably, with better outcomes. So that's what I do. I try to help couples who have to divorce at least do it in a healthier way for their family.
Okay, so what are the key differences, though, between, like, let's say someone litigating it as you do, I'm litigating it as an attorney would, and a mediated divorce, which is what you would assist with, right?
Right. So if you litigate it, like you hire a lawyer and then they'll file something in court and then your spouse will have to respond. And so they have to hire a lawyer. And then you go back and forth and you resolve differences generally with 3 lawyers in front of a judge. You don't have a big say in the matter and you're relying on other people to make those decisions for you. And it's very costly. But when you mediate, you actually all sit down together. The husband, the wife, the mediator meet together and we go through everything that you decide and we help them come up with their own decisions. It's a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the time. And if they have children, which to me is the big benefit of this, they are laying a foundation to work together and communicate together and build a parenting plan that's healthy for their kids.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it?
I have a
Holly?
question.
Yeah.
It sounds like the type of couples that you get would be more amicable divorces because they want to both see you. Is that the case? Because it sounds like it's more cut and dry, like versus them fighting back and forth and back and forth.
You're exactly right. I mean, mediation, you can't require them to go to mediation. Both spouses have to want to do it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, like, not everybody can mediate. Like, you have to be able to talk to each other. You have to be able to listen to each other, actually, like, hear what you're saying. You have to both have a desire to compromise, and you have to be fair and transparent. So some couples just want to, eye for an eye type of thing, and those people would not be good candidates for mediation. But the way I say it is, when you got married, you picked your wedding date, you picked the venue, the invitation list, the seating, everything. When you get divorced, why should you hand all the decisions over to a judge? Why don't you sit down in a reasonable manner, all of your decisions yourself?
In what instances would a couple maybe not want to have a mediated divorce?
If they don't know about it, like right in TV, movies, everything you hear, you hire a lawyer and you file for divorce. So most people don't even know it exists, and it's mostly those couples that you've seen them. They can't stand each other. They are trying to hurt each other through the process. They don't think they could sit down and come up with decisions together. But the way I say it, if you've ever been in an argument with somebody and you're just going off at each other, and then somebody enters the room who's not related to either one of you, like the tone generally comes down and you both try to present your views more articulately because you're in front of a stranger, right? So when you have an unbiased person in the room, the temperature comes down, and a good mediator can help people make really good decisions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it would be, I think, embarrassing to be arguing the way that I know I've argued with my spouse in the past. I think it would be embarrassing to do that. I mean, and certainly not productive, God knows. How about, let's talk about the cost between litigated divorce versus mediation compared to litigation.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use a real life example right now as an extreme case. I had a woman who came to me for a consult, and she wanted to mediate. And unfortunately, her husband was not willing to do so. So they ended up both hiring lawyers. They just got back to me, told me they spent $240,000 on legal fees. Now, that's an extreme. That's an extreme case. In Illinois, the average cost of a litigated divorce is about $35,000 per couple. When you mediate, mediation could be done in like $4,000.
Wow.
And then you do have to hire a lawyer to get you in front of a judge for another couple thousand. So I generally say for $6,000 or $7,000 total, you could have your complete divorce completed in 3 or 4 months, as opposed to a $35,000 cost at a minimum, plus about 18 months of really stressful time in court and with your lawyers.
That's a vast difference.
Yeah. I'm surprised that this isn't out there more. It's almost like a form of therapy. And what did you have to study to learn to be a mediator?
Glad you said it's kind of a form of therapy, because I think of myself as an armchair therapist and an armchair coach. But, I do like to help people communicate better and look at kind of the North Star that they're both marching towards. But as far as studying, I went to Northwestern. I got certified as a divorce mediator at Northwestern downtown. And I had a career where, I led different teams. I had, 38 years of experience leading people towards, common agreements, common goals. So that part of it was something that I've always enjoyed. And now I just really enjoy doing it with couples and really benefiting a family.
So how do you train for that? Do you do reenactments where you're doing your training to become a mediator? Like when you're at Northwestern, let's role play?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a different style in how they get couples together. There are different styles of mediation for sure. But one of the most important things is understanding the law in Illinois. Now, granted, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak as a lawyer, but I understand what's required in a parenting plan. I understand the general mechanics of child support, alimony, division of assets, sharing of the kids' expenses. Those are all things that I understand the parameters in Illinois. And that was probably the most that I had to understand, because I knew how to get two people to sit down and kind of focus on the positives and just work together. I try to put the kids first, because when there's children involved, it's not their divorce, it's their parents' divorce. And, the goal is for the parents to understand that your house, your retirement account, that's not your most valuable asset. It's your kids. And how could we put together a parenting plan that allows you both to be involved and participating and respected and have good relationships with your kids? That's really where I like to come in.
What do you gain besides lower expenses by using mediation and a lot of compressed time period so it doesn't get dragged out?
When you both hire lawyers, if you're working with litigators, they negotiate from the extremes. So they pit you against each other with the most extreme negotiating positions so that each one of you is so upset with the other, with the lawyer, with the process, and it's a terrible fight. But when you're mediating, a mediator starts with, shared values, shared ideas, and then we work outward. So instead of starting from the extremes and kind of hating each other and working to the middle and just accepting what you can get, you actually talk about what do you both agree with, what works for your family, and it develops a healthier communication. So like you don't hate each other after the process. You respect each other.
God, I wish my parents had used a mediator. I don't think it would have worked for them, though. I think there was.
They wouldn't be good candidates.
No, I don't think he'd be a good candidate. It's too much vitriol anyway. So tell me, how do you assure the couple that you are, whose divorce you're mediating, that they're both getting what is fair for each of them? How do they feel assured that, yeah, this is all right?
Yeah, that's a great question, and probably one area that holds people back. So the reason that it's fair is 70% of the divorce is the parenting plan, and no judge, no lawyer wants anything to do with that. They want the parents to sit down with a mediator. They know their kids best, come up with a plan for the kids. So that's 70% of it. The rest of the 30% in Illinois, some lawyers who are listening might tell me I'm nuts, but the Illinois law is fairly straightforward. I mean, there's formulas, there's very straightforward divisions. Certainly, everybody's situation is different, and that's what we talk about in mediation. But most of the decisions they have to make on the financial side, I find couples come to close and easy decisions. Every once in a while, if there's disparate incomes and spousal support is a big issue, for example, there was one breadwinner and somebody else stayed home with the kids, and they had a long marriage. I mean, spousal support is very real. It's going to be a very big decision. So I'll tell them, hey, this is an issue that you might want to get some legal advice for before we discuss, so you know how to make a decision. And I've got a lot of lawyers that I network with who are either low cost or free that will give them guidance. So they have the legal input before they make those decisions. And those lawyers could help them understand, based on your situation, a judge would likely rule somewhere in this area. Then they could come to the table educated and make good decisions.
That's a great idea,
Right.
referring them first to get that sort of hammered out a little bit. Wow. Yeah, spousal support is huge.
For some people, it's very meaningful. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to ask that you network with lawyers. Do a lot of lawyers refer you? Is that how did you get your business off the ground? Lawyer referral?
Not so much. I mean, I refer my clients more to lawyers. I work more closely with marriage counselors, and there's a field called discernment counselors. These are people that couples go to try to fix their marriage. And once they've gone through that process, if it doesn't work, then they're much more amicable and they understand they've done everything they could. So those are the kind of people that would refer to me.
Okay.
But I've also networked quite a bit, and I work with a lot of really good professionals, and they know the work that I do and how I really help couples to have a good outcome. So a lot of times I'll get calls from people to say, hey, I have someone I'm working with, and I'd really like to see if you could help them. In a lot of cases, I get referrals from clients, which are really the most meaningful. I'm just working with a client right now, from the north suburbs, and a client of mine referred them, and I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. I really appreciate that.
That makes so much sense. Now, when a couple comes to you, what is the first thing that you do? Let's just talk about like the first appointment. How would they prepare themselves to make the most out of their consultation with you, the first appointment?
Yeah, I'm kind of unique because I'm a divorce mediator, and I say this all the time. I'm not a fan of divorce, and especially when there's kids. I will spend. First of all my consultations are free. I'll talk to the husband individually, then the wife, then I'll talk to them together. I don't care how long it takes. I'm doing this really to help people, but I'll talk to them as long as I can, and I'll spend 20 to 30 minutes with them about their relationship. And I'll pressure test. Are they really sure they want to do this? Have they done the work to know this is what they want to do? Because sometimes some people think divorce is the easy button, and it's not. And if there's a chance that they each have a foot in the door still, I'll make sure they think about marriage counseling or discernment counseling and really work to recommit themselves to their marriage. Because as you can imagine, once you start a divorce process, sometimes it's hard to back out of it. I mean, your emotions change, your mood changes, and you're just in that track, and it's hard to back out. So the first thing I do in a consultation is just make sure they both want to do it. And once they can tell me, hey, we've gone through the process, we've talked about it, we're here, this is what we want, then I'll explain the process, the focus on the children first. I'll explain, depending on how much they share with me, I'll share a lot of possible outcomes on the financial side so they understand the parameters of what we're going to be working on. And then, I give them an opportunity to ask any questions about the process because I want them to be comfortable as well.
I think what you're saying then is that you referred to a discernment counselor, which I've never heard that term before until you just said it. But then you would say, are you sure? And then you would maybe refer them to them. And then if they ended up, well, we're sure, then they would come back to you.
Right. Mm-hmm. I've had, not a lot, I've had a couple clients or consults where they said, hey, we're going to try discernment counseling. We're going to see if we could put our marriage back together and see if we could work on things. And I love it. Like, I hate to say this. I tell my clients all the time, they could fire me anytime because I'd rather them find a path back together. Like when there's children involved and if they're just not communicating well and they could find a path together, family is really important. So I kind of say that message. One client I was working with said, the wife called me and said, Michael, you're going to lose a client if you suggest we get back together. We're done. We're going to find another professional. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys are so friendly on the calls. I can't believe you're getting divorced.
How many sessions does it take? Approximately. I'm sure it depends on the client.
Yeah, I've had some as few as 4, but usually it's 6 to 8 sessions, and we generally meet for an hour once a week. I like them to take their time and be able to sleep on the decisions they've made and come back the next week and say, hey, can we tweak this? I didn't think of that. I want to add some language here. So I want them to make sure the agreement they come up with is something they're both very comfortable with.
It sounds like you're so passionate and sincere about what you do, which is translating in this interview. Like you're not doing it for the money or anything like that, but you really care about families and people and the outcome. So when's your book coming out?
Seriously, Michael, you should you really could. That would be, think about it. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I contributed a chapter about co-parenting to a book, but I used to work corporate, right? I had a long career in corporate management, and this is really a passion of mine. And I've gotten to the point where if this were a business, I'd be expanding because I've got a lot of really good clients coming to me, but I really don't want to. I enjoy working one-on-one with people, and I don't want to write a book. I want to work with couples. So that's kind of.
I was kind of teasing, but
yeah, we were just trying to expand your pocketbook.
Yeah, I was fascinated by all this information because I didn't know. If I hear of somebody getting divorced, I'm like, time out. You've got to go to a mediator.
Yeah,
and I've got one.
Is there anything before we close, Michael, that you'd like to add that maybe I didn't touch on or that we didn't get to?
Probably, maybe 2 things. We talked about bringing a lawyer in. At the end of mediation, a lawyer does review the agreement, so you do have that certainty, and a judge has to approve it. So even though it's done with a mediator in a room together, there is legal review and oversight to make sure that it's equitable. And the other thing I'd say is if you have children, mediation is the way to go because it like I said, it builds a foundation for communication. And I went through a divorce myself and I saw the impact of a litigated divorce on my kids. So I try to bring that out without smothering people, but just help them understand what their actions, their words, their inactions mean to their children. And my goal really is to make sure that the kids of the divorce are not negatively impacted, like those who go through a litigated divorce. So it's really valuable and worthwhile for kids.
Well, thank you. Holly and I have learned a mountain of information. I hope anybody who is considering this or leaning that way, or if you hear this and it's after the first of the year and you're saying time to take that step, and you want to do it in a civilized way that's good for everybody. How do people get hold of you, Michael?
Sure. They could look at my website, which is michaelsmediation.com. There's a lot of information about myself and also about divorce and the different aspects that people value understanding. Or they could call me directly. My number is 224-544-9990. And like I said, I'm happy to talk with anyone, help educate them, even if they're working with a different professional or going down a different path.
Very
Thank
enlightening.
you so much for giving us your time and edifying us on what to me is an unknown, area. I really didn't know anything about it other than I knew that you were. So, give Franny a big kiss on that beautiful snout of hers for me, okay?
Well, she's laying right here, and I will do that right now.
Okay.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing her, and maybe we'll have her as a pod dog in the future again someday.
Sounds good. I'm sure she'd love it.
Thank you very much, Michael.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Well, that was an education, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of info in a short amount of time, but how resourceful is this?
Well, yeah, and you get out there a lot with different people, so, keep that
I will.
website handy and that phone number.
to.
I will too, but I think I've already recommended him to some people. I didn't know what it was about, but I thought, hey, I heard he manages people. I think you guys need some managing. So anyway, that's Let's Talk Local. Michael Cohen, divorce mediator, michaelsmediation.com. Thanks everybody for joining us. And remember, watch our Instagram. We've got some cool reels. Maybe we'll post one of Michael's, business cards or something. We'll figure something out. Give him a little shout out. Okay. How's that?
That sounds great.
Okay. Thanks so much for listening. So bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Harvey. Ladies Who Question is executive produced and edited by me, Lisa Dominique, and also executive produced by Holly Caulfield. Holly also does most of our research, and Claire Caulfield is in charge of technical assistance and social media. Music, My Lionheart. Sketch music by Florian Manx and Matthew Anderson. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, rate, and review Ladies Who Question on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Send your thoughts to ladieswhoquestion@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and our website, ladieswhoquestion.com.
All content discussed on Ladies Who Question are the opinions of Lisa Dominique and Holly Caulfield and should not be construed as advice of any kind. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as advice of any personal or medical issue for yourself or others. This disclaimer also applies to guests or contributors to the podcast.